So Paddy the Baddy just got beat. Paddy the Baddy, as a matter of fact, got submitted. Do you guys even know what I'm talking about? So there's something that goes on in England. This is Paddy's gym. Paddy enters this thing every year. It's called something. And then they have a king of the mat. It's a grappling tournament, but they have this thing, this king of the mat. Paddy was in the finals a year ago, and after an hour, they just stopped the match and called it a draw. So he was a co-champion. So whatever this thing is, it's a thing that matters to him. So he enters it, I guess, over the weekend. I guess. And he ends up getting beat.
Gaethje, Paddy, what do you think it looks like?
Oh man, more skilled, more experienced, I think better fighter all around, Justin Gaethje. But I also have been on record and said that Paddy Pimblett is better than a lot of people think he is. You know, because of his haircut and the way he talks, and when I fought him, he's better than a lot of people give him credit for. He's got long reach, good kicks, pretty darn patient and composed in there, but Gaethje's a whole different animal. So if I had to bet, I'd go Justin Gaethje, interim champion, and then he beats Ilia Topuria later on this year.
I don't think that's true, dude. He's actually changed his style so much, and his stats are kind of misleading. Like, if you look at his significant strike numbers, dude, it kind of like Max Holloway. Like, you can't statistically prove that Max Holloway's defense has improved or whatever it is, or that he's more technical, but you can see it when you rewatch his recent fights. Justin Gaethje's the same, dude. Like, his defense used to be fucking abysmal. He would just walk through you, but now he actually has shown improvements in his defense. He was making Dustin Poirier miss a lot in their fight, really frustrated him with his footwork, with his head movement. Had some good moments against Max Holloway, dropped him for the first time. He sharpened up his technique. He has a really nice jab. Like I said, his defense is a very underrated part of his game. He has good footwork. He feints. He mixes things up between the body and the head. I think that'll work well against Paddy Pimblett, who's super focused on, I need to have my hands up, I need to do this, or his hands are down really low. They're both open, depending on the feints and the setups that you use to capitalize really, really effectively on Paddy Pimblett in the striking. We've seen it.
Fiziev was short notice in this one, coming off an injury, and he, you know, it is what it is. But another thing about Gaethje I want to bring up too is recently in his career, he's kind of just sort of started to wrestle a little bit more. This no wrestling thing that he did have going on for a long time, he's kind of abandoned it, which I think is good. I know that Paddy Pimblett's grappling is really elite, and if Gaethje tries to take him down, it probably would be a mistake, but that tells me the wrestling is something that he's still got in his back pocket, something that he can use to keep the fight on the feet, keep the fight standing. And I think that when the fight is standing, yes, Pimblett looks so good against Chandler. I think Chandler just sucks, I'll be honest. I think I was wrong about Chandler. I think that's also part of it too. I think Gaethje goes out there and beats Paddy Pimblett, man. I think he's the much better striker out of the two. We've seen him go 5 rounds. We saw him go 5 rounds against Holloway. I know that he got knocked out in the last second of that fight, and you know, it did kind of suck for that. I actually think I picked Holloway to beat him, though. I can't actually remember. But anyway, it did kind of suck for Gaethje for that to have happened. But, you know, it did kind of create a viral moment that people are still trying to recreate to this day.
So, here's the situation unfolding. Paddy Pimblett, who everyone calls the Baddy, is walking straight into what might just be the ultimate career-defining moment of his fighting life. Standing directly in his path, Justin Gaethje, a fighter who looks like he was designed specifically to bring absolute mayhem and pure violence to every single bout.
You know, for other guys, but I know Paddy Pimblett and Justin Gaethje is a very competitive fight. It's going to be an exciting fight. And I'm not saying other fights not going to be exciting, you know, but at the end of the day, we know Paddy and Justin Gaethje is going to be a complete firework. There's no way in hell this fight will go 5 rounds. There's no way, you know.
Are you surprised that Justin opened as like a plus 200 underdog? I think it's already starting to flip a little bit.
It's no problem. He was underdog with Tony Ferguson too. What happened? You know, he was underdog with Dustin Poirier second time. What happened? You know, it's okay. You can doubt Justin. But I'm going to tell you something. If Justin fights in Chelsea, he's going to make it sleep. I respect Pimblett. I think he's very underrated. I think a lot of people talk shit about him. But I was like, the guy never lost in the UFC. How are you going to talk shit about him? But I think if Justin Gaethje, touch his chin, he's going to make him go to sleep. But vice versa too. He have very good grappling. It's a very intriguing match.
What's got everyone talking about this matchup? These two couldn't fight more differently if they tried. Like watching lightning meet thunder, and their recent paths have been heading in totally opposite directions, which just cranks up the drama even more. Fans and experts everywhere are picking sides and nobody's sitting on the fence about this one.
Paddy the Baddy, as a matter of fact, got submitted. Do you guys even know what I'm talking about? So there's something that goes on in England. This is Paddy's gym. Paddy enters this thing every year. It's called something, and then they have a king of the mat. It's a grappling tournament, but they have this thing, this king of the mat. Paddy was in the finals a year ago, and after an hour, they just stopped the match and called it a draw. So he was a co-champion. So whatever this thing is, it's a thing that matters to him. So he enters it, I guess, over the weekend. I guess. And
this isn't about popularity contests or Instagram followers anymore. What we're looking at is a ruthless make-or-break moment for Paddy, where staying alive and proving he belongs at this level are literally the only things on the line.
now, one of the reasons it's so cool is I don't think you have heard about it. One of the reasons I think it's so cool is there's no other sport where this would happen. One of the reasons I think it's so cool is it doesn't matter. And that's one cool thing about our community. Like, if a guy like Paddy wants to go out there and take a risk and do something like this, he can chalk that up to a tremendous victory. He can also chalk that up to a workout. And you know what? We need to keep it that way. It's one thing that we have done very well as a group, and there's no others.
Obviously, the entire MMA world is going wild right now, and fight predictions are flooding in from every direction before this massive collision happens. Let's start with Chael Sonnen, who always brings those sharp insights and never holds back his real thoughts. His perspective went way beyond just Paddy dropping that recent grappling match, diving much deeper into what that moment actually revealed.
That LeBron drops in for a one-on-one with the college star. He's going to take the risk. He just simply could not take the risk. This happened when I was a kid. It was to John McEnroe in Oregon. This was before the internet was a thing, but John McEnroe came out and he played somebody. We had some high school star down in, it was down in Eastern Oregon. I want to say maybe Pendleton. At any rate, the guy beat him. Our high school star beat McEnroe, and this was a thing. This was a thing. But it's one of these reasons why you can't ever get that. Like, you were left to believe that the NBA is better than the NCAA. You're led to believe the NFL is better than college football. I'm sure you're right, but there's exceptions, and there's certain positions at certain times where there are exceptions. You will never know.
Chael's argument was that this specific loss exposed something really significant about Paddy's mindset, and more importantly, about his mental state heading into battle with an absolute wrecking machine, like Justin Gaethje. Sonnen specifically highlighted how Paddy, right in the middle of what had to be an intense and demanding fight camp, still decided to compete in a local grappling tournament at his own gym.
Rumors have been swirling that Justin Gaethje is injured. A few videos have surfaced of him diving and cracking heads with someone, which wobbled him bad. Do you have any inside information? Have you not heard of this? Okay, actually, I got to be honest. I thought you guys were talking about. I thought he was going to ask about. I saw a bunch of pictures about this thing.
Though, right?
Yeah. The ingrown hair is what he's claiming.
Okay. Right.
Ingrown hair and a bit of brisket. Yeah.
Brisket.
Yeah, a little brisket on the chin.
Because they said he had herpes on his mouth. He's like, I was eating brisket and I had an ingrown hair.
If that is an ingrown hair, that's the gnarliest ingrown hair I've ever seen. That makes like a little red dot on your neck if it's an ingrown hair. He had a crater in his neck. I don't know about
By the way, could you imagine, just for a moment, you know where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
You know where I'm going with this?
I do know exactly where you're going.
Enter Armin.
Yes.
Enter Armin.
Yes, it's time. Now, is Armin ready is the thing.
Just think about that for a second. A local competition at his home base. Something that obviously meant a lot to him personally and professionally. Chael focused on how, despite all the pressure and genuine risk of getting hurt or losing, Paddy showed up anyway, gave everything he had, and handled whatever happened next like a true competitor. He didn't run from that challenge, he walked straight into it. To quote Chael directly, he said so. Paddy the Baddy just got beat, but there was this deeper message about bouncing back stronger.
If it even happens. And now we've got Gaethje fighting Pimblett for the vacant title. And I know I've just picked favorites the entire card, And I know that is kind of probably not that exciting for you guys. I am picking Gaethje to beat Paddy Pimblett in this fight. I've been proven wrong by Paddy Pimblett so many times. Over and over and over and over again. If you guys remember, I picked Tony Ferguson to beat Paddy Pimblett in that fight. And I will be honest with you guys, there was a moment there in that third round where it looked like maybe Ferguson was going to get something going because Pimblett did gas out pretty bad in that fight. But that is just cope on my end. And then even then, I picked Michael Chandler to beat him too. Have I ever been more wrong about a fight? Probably not, to be honest with you, but he looks really, really good. The problem with me and Paddy Pimblett, dude, is there's two things that he's just never fixed. His cardio and his striking defense. He still keeps his chin way up in the air. I know that's why people love him. I know people love Paddy Pimblett because of that. The problem is, though, I just don't like seeing that and then trying to justify picking him to beat Justin Gaethje, who just beat Rafael Fiziev a couple of times in the last few years. Now, I know that
Artem didn't stop. Taking that breakdown even further, Chael brilliantly links this exact mentality straight to the upcoming war with Justin Gaethje. His perspective was that real fighters, especially ones with Paddy's relentless determination, don't spend their time protecting some perfect public image like we see athletes do in other major sports.
Fiziev was short notice in this one, coming off an injury, and he, it is what it is, but another thing about Gaethje I want to bring up too is recently in his career, he's kind of just sort of started to wrestle a little bit more. This no wrestling thing that he did have going on for a long time, he's kind of abandoned it, which I think is good. I know that Paddy Pimblett's grappling is really elite, and if Gaethje tries to take him down, it probably would be a mistake, but that tells me the wrestling is something that he's still got in his back pocket, something that he can use, keep the fight on the feet, keep the fight standing. And I think that when the fight is standing, yes, Pimblett looks so good against Chandler. I think Chandler just sucks, I'll be honest. I think I was wrong about Chandler. I think that's also part of it too. I think Gaethje goes out there and beats Paddy Pimblett, man. I think he's...
Shifting, these warriors voluntarily walk into brutal, high-risk scenarios even when there's literally nothing concrete to gain. No belt, no huge payday, just their pure pride on the line. And Chael explained exactly why this mindset isn't just impressive, but absolutely essential when you're getting ready to face a complete destroyer like Justin Gaethje.
To me, it's really important to just look at these two stylistically. Paddy Pimblett is not a wrestler, bro. Like, Paddy Pimblett is not a wrestler. Justin Gaethje's a better striker. He has good takedown defense, and he has great power. That is my theory here, right? Because when you look at the way that these guys fight, Paddy Pimblett fights a lot behind kicks, dude. He's throwing oblique kicks, calf kicks, head kicks, body kicks, jumping, kind of, switching up in the air, throwing those kicks. He has improved his boxing. That was a big weakness in the Jared Gordon.
Continue. Justin doesn't just handle pressure well. He actually loves it, converts it into raw energy. And like Chael put it perfectly, there's no possible way you can stand across from a non-stop, high-intensity warrior like Gaethje if you've got even the smallest fear of losing buried somewhere inside you. That fear will get found and used against you. Chael, always ready to challenge popular opinions, strongly argued against the common belief that taking a loss outside official competition, especially in grappling, somehow means you're weak. He broke it down clearly that this type of competitive experience doesn't hurt your official MMA record at all, so there's no traditional damage done. But what it absolutely demonstrates, he insisted, is genuine hunger, that deep internal need to compete and grow no matter what's immediately at stake. In Sonnen's view, Paddy's professional response to that recent grappling defeat, treating it like just another day of hard training and a chance to learn something, instead of getting embarrassed or trying to hide from it, showed something vital. It revealed the type of fighter who has the unshakable mental strength and pure determination to keep marching forward, chin up, straight into battle against someone as frightening as Justin Gaethje, rather than freezing under massive pressure or worse, trying to play things safe. This goes beyond just being tough physically, it's about the mental battles that happen long before anyone throws a single strike. Now let's shift to something that completely took over fight news for a while. The respected Ariel Helwani decided to address Justin Gaethje's injury rumors directly and thoroughly. Ariel made it perfectly obvious that the questionable videos and photos making rounds online had the entire MMA world talking, mainly because the timing seemed incredibly suspicious, almost like it was planned. Consider this carefully. Right when the fight promotion should have been running smoothly, completely clear of any complications, suddenly doubt started creeping in aggressively, and Helwani stressed that just this hint of uncertainty can drastically change how fans see the whole matchup with Paddy. He really dove into how frustratingly vague the entire situation actually was. Ariel carefully focused on how genuinely strange and honestly troubling the photos appeared, thoroughly explaining why fans were completely justified in questioning whether they were real or what they meant. The main problem, he explained, wasn't just what Justin or his team claimed the injury was. It was how visually alarming it looked to anyone seeing it. And maybe more importantly, how incredibly fast those images blew up across social platforms. That level of uncertainty, Helwani concluded, definitely looms over a major fight like storm clouds, completely changing the whole vibe and energy as we approach what should be an electrifying fight week. Next, the always straightforward Artem Lobov shared his thoughts, and he started by confessing something important. He's questioned Paddy Pimblett before, and honestly, he's been wrong about those calls, getting his predictions completely backwards. But even knowing that personal track record and experience, Artem admitted he just couldn't ignore the exact same ongoing issues he keeps spotting in Paddy's fights. For Lobov, Paddy's performances repeatedly show these worrying moments where his stamina clearly drops, opening up dangerous opportunities, and that becomes an extremely risky situation. When you're dealing with someone who maintains absolutely relentless, non-stop pressure like Justin Gaethje. But the single most important, most obvious problem Artem zeroed in was Paddy's defensive weaknesses. He identified a clear threat. Paddy consistently leaves his chin exposed, frequently held up high, basically giving opponents regulars to land devastatingly clean connections. That type of dangerous, high-reward approach can work perfectly when you're facing opponents who either hesitate to fully commit or simply tire out as rounds go by. But here's what changes everything. Justin Gaethje absolutely does not slow down, and he definitely doesn't miss very often when he finds his target. Artem made it crystal clear that while it's fun and thrilling to appreciate Paddy's wild, unpredictable fighting approach, that's completely different from actually trusting it to survive against a proven elite-level striker of Gaethje's quality. He also explored a really significant part of this matchup, Justin Gaethje's major development and improvement as a fighter throughout the years. Lobov specifically mentioned that Justin is no longer the completely stubborn brawler who was totally dedicated to standing and trading shots exclusively, a reputation he once wore with pride. What's really important here is this. Even if Gaethje has zero interest in actively pursuing a grappling battle with Paddy, the pure threat of his elite-level wrestling background and takedown skills is always undeniably there. And that threat, that unspoken possibility of a takedown, becomes an incredibly valuable strategic tool by itself. It's what allows Justin to actively control exactly where the fight happens, setting the rules of engagement. Artem strongly believed that keeping the fight standing, maintaining that striking battle, is the absolute path to victory for Gaethje in this specific fight. And because of his substantial growth and development as an MMA athlete, Justin now has an even bigger collection of advanced techniques and strategies to make that happen effectively, keeping the fight exactly where he wants it. The breakdown from Bedtime MMA provided another essential viewpoint, detailing how Paddy Pimblett, despite his grappling skills, isn't really a traditional high-level wrestler who regularly attempts those perfect textbook takedowns. Instead, Paddy's method is much more unconventional, and honestly dependent on pure chaos, strategic kick usage, and an amazing ability to turn any flowing moment into an unpredictable ground scramble. And here's the major point against a certified expert like Justin Gaethje. That type of scramble-heavy opportunistic strategy becomes extremely risky because Justin's takedown defense isn't just solid, it's famous for being incredibly strong and technically perfect, more than able to easily stop any sloppy, poorly timed, or desperate attempts, effectively keeping the fight right where he wants it, on the feet, in his striking territory. This means Paddy won't get those simple entries he might discover against weaker opponents, forcing him to stand and exchange. Continuing with the thorough analysis, Bedtime MMA also explained why Justin Gaethje presents such a tough challenge, emphasizing that Justin is absolutely no longer the careless brawler he might have been seen as. He passionately challenged the outdated notion that Gaethje is just a wild, head-hunting fighter, describing instead that Justin now uses a complex collection of feints, accurate footwork, and disciplined defense to systematically make his opponents whiff completely. And why does this matter so much against Paddy? Because, as we've witnessed, Paddy still has a tendency to absorb clean shots way more frequently than an elite fighter should, and throughout a brutal fight, those clean, building shots can definitely accumulate and cause serious damage. When Bedtime MMA carefully outlined the potential victory paths for both fighters, his preference became obvious. Paddy's absolute best shot at winning depends on creating early chaos, connecting with something major to damage Justin, and then quickly turning that moment into a fast, opportunistic finish. However, he warned that if that specific situation doesn't happen quickly, the fight will almost definitely remain standing, where Justin has a clear advantage. In that very likely scenario, Bedtime MMA thinks that Gaethje will systematically, maybe even viciously, break Paddy apart, possibly getting a stoppage in the middle rounds. That's why, despite openly admitting he wants Paddy to succeed, he reluctantly expects Justin to secure a TKO win. Moving to another viewpoint, the analysis from Dantum highlighted Paddy's undeniably clever fighting approach and a really strong, well-rounded skill set. He specifically mentioned Paddy's incredible willingness to fight effectively from his back if taken down, showing his threat there, and his excellent utilization of his reach with punishing kicks. Dantum thinks Paddy has demonstrated tremendous growth in the stacked, lightweight division, showing real intelligence in how he sets up his offensive attacks, making him a very legitimate and present danger, especially if he can successfully survive Justin's notoriously devastating early assault. But Dantum also described, with harsh honesty, that Justin brings an almost unmatched level of violence and raw power to every single bout. While recognizing Paddy's abilities, he suggested that Justin's explosive striking might simply be too overwhelming for him to deal with. Dantum feels that while Paddy's previous fights prove he can excel against certain opponents, Justin Gaethje competes on a totally different elite level. He strongly thinks that while Paddy definitely has the skills to win, Justin's extensive experience combined with his relentless pressure will make it extremely hard for Paddy to take control. Then we got input from Mike Bones, whose opinion was that this fight isn't just likely to be action-packed, it's virtually guaranteed to be an absolute war from bell to bell. He favored Justin Gaethje winning by relentlessly maintaining pace, unleashing a barrage of strikes and using his famous fight-ending leg kicks to gradually wear Paddy down and seriously limit his mobility. However, Mike also smartly noted that Paddy's naturally risky, unpredictable approach creates an atmosphere of pure chaos that can literally flip the fight in his direction at any moment. And that chaos becomes especially dangerous. A real game changer if the fight somehow lands on the ground, even temporarily. Why? Because Paddy's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and his incredible scrambling skills are probably his greatest weapons. And if Justin finds himself in that dangerous spot, Paddy has the special ability to completely reverse the entire fight instantly by discovering opportunistic positions when Gaethje is least prepared for it. Mike Bones finished his breakdown by emphasizing the vital importance of Paddy's fight preparation. He strongly emphasized that Paddy absolutely cannot treat this like just another regular training camp. Justin's relentless suffocating pressure is completely different, and Paddy needs to simulate and really experience that punishing pace in his preparation long before fight night. If he waits to try adapting to that level of intensity inside the octagon, Mike warns it could already be over. But if Paddy prepares exactly right, conditioning himself for that high-energy environment, he can push Justin into uncomfortable situations and really make the fight turn decisively in his favor. Finally, the always vocal manager Ali Abdulaziz called this a legitimate 50-50 fight precisely because both Paddy and Justin are forward-moving, pressure-fighting competitors. He pictures the moment that bell sounds, they will literally collide in the center of the cage, and the pace will be absolutely insane from the opening second. Ali clearly stated that he sees zero possibility of this fight lasting the complete 5 rounds. He also addressed Justin currently being listed as the underdog in the betting lines. Ali calmly reminded everyone that Justin has been underestimated many times before and has consistently delivered with huge performances in the most difficult fights possible, which is why he remains totally unbothered by the betting numbers. He summed up the core dynamic perfectly. If Justin connects clean, Paddy is going down hard. But on the flip side, if the fight somehow reaches the ground, Paddy can completely take control with his world-class grappling. So everything suggests this fight will be lightning fast, incredibly intense, and with a very strong chance of ending dramatically before the final bell. Now it's time for you to weigh in. Drop your thoughts in the comments and tell us who you're backing to win this epic showdown. Are you going with Justin's unmatched experience and devastating power, or are you betting on Paddy's technical skills and his undeniably intelligent game plan to pull off the major upset?